All right, hey, what's up, guys? Today I'm going to be doing a review on the Native Instruments Komplete Kontrol A series. So this is the A49. For me, as a beat maker inside of FL Studio, I have a certain kind of test that I follow, and I let you guys know, does it pass that test, okay? So I've recently reviewed the M Audio Oxygen Pro, which I do prefer over the A49. The reason why I like the Oxygen Pro is I just feel that the keys are a little nicer. It also has more flexibility. So if you want more information on the keyboard, be sure to come to my website. I did an in-depth review. There's pictures, text, but I'm going to be more covering about how it functions inside of FL Studio and how to set it up inside this video. So let's hop into a slideshow, and there's some things I have to cover with you for you guys to understand how this works for FL Studio. So the first thing is that the A49 passed my test for FL Studio usage. So what does that mean? I look for nice semi-weighted keys in a 49 key keyboard. A lot of manufacturers, they start introducing semi-weighted keys in the 61 key model, but I usually find a 61 key is huge, and I've never been restricted with a 49 key. The next thing I look for in this test is that it has the default transport button operation. Back in the day, before FL Studio 20.7, which introduced MIDI scripting, so before MIDI scripting, sometimes MIDI keyboards wouldn't work very good when it came to the transport buttons. And so what those are is the play, stop, record, loop, forward, reverse, okay? Now, one thing to say is that the A49 does not have forward and reverse. You can get into what's called deep integration, which I'll talk to you later in this video. Now, one thing I want to say, because this could be a deal breaker for you with this A49, is it does not have velocity curves built into the MIDI keyboard, which is weird because every single manufacturer of a MIDI keyboard since like the beginning of MIDI keyboards has always had velocity curves. Now you can create a custom one inside of FL Studio, which I'll show you. So just hit F10 or just go to your settings, and you're going to see right here, link note on velocity 2. You just click this and you can adjust your own velocity curve, okay? So by default, I find that this keyboard is very, very sensitive, and that's not good. Like, it's too sensitive, right? Like, that's, to me, that's like a huge jump. And as a music producer, like, yes, we want some velocity, we want some life in our music, but it's too sensitive to the point where, yeah, it's just too much. So all you have to do is you can just increase this. I found the sweet spot to kind of be from anywhere from around here to around here, okay? So I'll play this now. And, you know, you can pull it back maybe just a little bit, but you can see that it just, as a music producer, when we record our notes, our velocities are just a little bit more even. This is a quick fix. It allows you to just set your own velocity curves, but the feature is there to fix it. All right, so another thing I want to say is that the A49 does not have an on and off switch either. Now, this may not bother you, but for me, I like the on and off switch on the Oxygen Pro. I just like being able to turn off and on my gear so it's not on all the time, and the A49 does not have an on-off switch. Now, I want to caution you guys, so be cautious of NKS and the Komplete Kontrol plugin. So the A49 is all about getting hands-on if you're using their software. But in terms of FL Studio has never been the best DAW when it comes to keyboards and hardware and compatibility for like auto mapping and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so FL Studio really accelerates when it comes to being able to manually set things up. And you guys can check out global links for more information on how to set things up so like they're permanent. And the reason I'm cautioning you this is because I want you guys to watch my video. It's called choosing the right plugins as a music producer. And so a lot of you guys don't understand that when you use plugins in your projects, and if it's a serious project, something that you are going to put on Spotify or something, you are stuck with that plugin. Because if you want to have that project backed up, so if you want to open it in 3, 4, 5 years from now, every single plugin and every single sound that you used on that project, you're stuck with, okay? And so when you enter NKS and when you start using their Komplete Kontrol plugin, you're always going to have this plugin around with you, just for hands-on automatic stuff. And in my opinion, inside of FL Studio, I would rather just manually map things. It's going to allow you to use different MIDI keyboards down the road, nice and easy. You're not going to be stuck into always having these certain plugins, okay? This is quite a big topic, but you can watch this video to learn. Now, again, you could use the A49 as a good MIDI keyboard that has good transport buttons and nice keys, but you don't have to use their software, is what I'm trying to say, okay? So it's a good MIDI keyboard, but just be cautious, okay? Okay, so what we're going to cover in this video is I'm going to show you how to install the MIDI script. So it's super easy. I'm also going to show you the transport button usage, to learn my workflow inside of FL Studio. And then I'll give you guys a general overview of the MIDI keyboard. But again, read my written review for more in depth if you want to see pictures. Like I even took pictures like underneath the keyboard to show you like the quality of the rubber pads. So like, when you play this keyboard, it is built well. The rubber pads are good. It holds in place, stuff like that. I've given you guys tons of information on my website, okay? And now I want to talk to you about how to set up the MIDI script. So again, as of FL Studio 20.7, they introduced MIDI scripting, which is huge, okay? It allows any MIDI keyboard to have the basic operation. And if it's not working as you intend, you can write a quick script and you can get the buttons working how you want. What makes the A49 unique from other MIDI keyboards and other MIDI controllers is that it can enter into deep integration, okay? So I've left a lot of information in my review. You guys should check out Don Light. His GitHub username is Hobbyist, and he gave you this Native Instruments abstraction layer. I'm not going to go too much into it, but it allows you to enter deep integration. Okay, so deep integration allows more functionality as originally intended from Native Instruments. Now, in my opinion, from my testing, it was cool. And I tried out a couple of these guys' scripts and, they're very well done. But again, a lot of these things kind of look useful. But in terms of like a real good FL Studio workflow, I'm telling you guys, all you need is a basic MIDI keyboard with nice semi-weighted keys and transport buttons, the stop, record, play, and loop. And again, the loop changes song and pattern mode. We will cover that after. This will give you a great experience inside of FL Studio. I like the forward and reverse, but you can do without them, okay? So again, this kind of functionality only became available in FL Studio 20.7. That's because of MIDI scripting. And Native Instruments actually updated Komplete Kontrol. So this, the A49, before it didn't use normal transport button operation. So now we have a keyboard that works. And again, if you install either my free basic MIDI script or one of the deep integration scripts, there's two popular ones right now. It's all going to get your transport buttons working properly, which is awesome. Okay, that was usually always the biggest downfall with FL Studio, was like getting your MIDI keyboard set up. But now the barriers are removed, and you're going to get a good experience with the A49. And so now to install the MIDI script, it's really, really easy. All you have to do is just drag the folder into hardware. I would close FL Studio and reopen it. You're going to hit F10. So on my basic MIDI script, you don't have to set up any of like the ports and stuff like that. If you install the deep integration ones, you're going to have to follow their instructions, which I think you have to mess with ports a little bit, okay? So in mine, all you have to do is the Komplete Kontrol A DAW. You select this one and controller type. So all your custom MIDI scripts are going to be over here. As you can see, I had one for the Oxygen Pro, which is again super basic, just getting the transport buttons working properly. And then I just select the Native Instruments Komplete Kontrol, and I put Grat here just in case you're using other scripts and you want to test mine out. You'll know what mine is. Okay, that's it. That's all you have to do. And then when it comes to your MIDI keyboard, so I'll show you. So green is play, red is record, white is stop, and then this one is the loop button, okay? I want to show you the loop button because that's essentially why I have the MIDI script available for you. So it switches between song and pattern mode. But I'm just going to show you the basic operation of the transport buttons for you to get a good workflow inside of FL Studio. So if you hit play, it plays it. You hit play again, it pauses it. You hit stop, it brings it back to the beginning. If I click here and hit play, and if I hit stop, it brings it back there. If I hit stop again, it brings it back to fully resets. We have record. Okay, you can see up there. And then again, the biggest one for me is the loop button. So we go from pattern to song mode, okay? So let me just play this beat here. We'll just go off topic just for a second. This is kind of a cool trick. So we go from a high pitch to a low pitch, and it gave a totally different dynamic to this beat, which you may have heard in my Oxygen Pro review. Okay, so the overall summary, the A49 I think is a good MIDI keyboard for FL Studio. Like you're going to get a good experience and it passes my test, okay? It does not have the velocity curves, but I showed you how to fix that. Now, be careful of the NKS and Komplete Kontrol plugin. Again, you don't have to use these to use the deep integration MIDI script or even my basic MIDI script. Overall, I think it's very, very well built. Like when I'm actually pressing the keys and like there's no flexing, like it's not cheaply made at all, except I'd say maybe this knob. It's called like their 4D encoder. It allows you to just go like right and left and up and down and stuff. And so this is kind of cheaply made, but it still works good. And as I said in my written review, I feel it's pretty durable. But if we talk about like these knobs are built really, really nice. And a really cool thing is like they are touch sensitive. So you can kind of see like what the value is. I also like how it does not have the drum pad. So you guys are saving money there. A drum pad, in my opinion, on a MIDI keyboard is kind of like a gimmick. Your keys are the exact same thing as a drum pad. They just feel different, but at the end of the day, they're both sending a note and they're both sending the velocity value, right? So I like how you're saving money there. I did kind of miss the sliders, even though I don't really use them much. The Oxygen Pro does have the sliders. The Oxygen Pro also has the drum pads. And for the price difference, I do think that the Oxygen Pro is worth it. And again, I have an in-depth review, just like this Komplete Kontrol. If you come to my website, I have an in-depth review, tons of images, and what to expect when you install it. Again, it's really important for you guys to pay attention when you're watching a review about a MIDI keyboard, that it has to be specific to your music program. When it comes to headphones, that stuff's universal. It works anywhere. Audio interfaces, typically those will work in most music programs. They're just plug and play, maybe install a driver. For a MIDI keyboard, especially in FL Studio, not so. So in this case, this review was strictly for FL Studio. You got to be careful of what tools you're bringing into your work environment. I always like a simple workflow that allows me to back up my projects for the long term, that I can easily reopen. And I don't think that the NKS and the Komplete Kontrol plugin, I don't think it brings enough benefits to you as a producer to bring it into the FL Studio ecosystem. Okay, you guys can get a great experience with just the keyboard itself inside of FL Studio. You just install a simple MIDI script and you guys are on your way. But at the end of the day, if you guys haven't purchased yet, I'd suggest the Oxygen Pro, but if you have the A49 and if you've come across this review, I suggest setting it up the way how I've shown you in this review or this little overview, and you guys will get a great experience. So I hope you guys enjoy. Again, I'm GratuiTous. I'm an FL Studio trainer. I have tons of FL Studio courses and books on my website. It's gratuitous.com. I'll leave all the links in the description. This review itself, I'll leave where to access the MIDI scripts. I will leave my M Audio Oxygen Pro review in there, as well as the video I talked about selecting the right plugins for you as a music producer. It's very important that you know this and understand this, because in 4 or 5 years from now, all of a sudden you're going to look back at your old projects and you're going to have all these plugins that you were testing and you brought into a serious work environment and you use them. It's okay to try out different plugins, but if you're going to try them, bring them into a test project and see if you like them. Sometimes certain plugins are buggy, sometimes they're not. Sometimes you try them, you don't like the workflow, stuff like that, okay? So it's all about workflow. It's all about the long term. If you can be organized today, it's going to speed you up so much in the long term, okay? So overall, the MIDI keyboard is good when it comes to the pitch wheel, the mod wheel. You have your octave buttons. The play, the stop, the record, the transport buttons, all of them work good. The buttons are a bit hard to press, but they operate very well. The knobs are good. Again, you have your banks. So you have 4 banks, so 32 total knobs. And I'll be coming out with a video explaining about global links and how to set up all your knobs and stuff. It'll be universal to any MIDI keyboard. So if you use the A49 or the Oxygen Pro, you'll be able to follow along. Another thing I didn't cover in this video, which I'll hop over into my review quickly. If you guys are visiting the website, I'm just clicking blog here. So I've left reviews and we'll click on MIDI keyboards. And so here is the Native Instruments Komplete Kontrol review, just so that if you're checking out this review, you'll be able to know where things are. Okay, so in this area, I've left you the Midi script and other useful information. What I wanted to talk to you about is that the Native Instruments, their controller editor, does not work with the Komplete Kontrol A49, whereas the M Audio has this preset editor, and I'll let you guys see that in case you haven't seen it before, because these preset editors are kind of like they're not super new, but many times back in the day they weren't really useful. But the Oxygen Pros, so you essentially can set up your MIDI keyboard however you want. All right. So again, this is the Native Instruments A49, but if this was the Oxygen Pro, all the different knobs and sliders you can adjust with this preset editor, whereas the Native Instruments Komplete Kontrol, the controller editor doesn't work. So you have to load up their Komplete Kontrol plugin, again, which you have to bring into FL Studio. You guys can check out my review of the Oxygen Pro right here. Okay, so if you guys have any questions about FL Studio, about the MIDI keyboard, you guys can reach me at itsgratuitous.com/contact and fill out the contact form. And if you guys would like me to review a different MIDI keyboard, again, feel free to reach out to me, but I look for a 49 key MIDI keyboard with semi-weighted keys. One of you guys mentioned the Arturia Keylab, so I'll take a peek into that and see what I can do. Okay, so thank you if you made it this far. And again, always feel free to reach out to me. So I hope you guys enjoy and take care for now.